Hi, friends. Welcome back. Test 1, 2. Still on this stupid headphone microphone. Although I do look cool. New thing. You got the white headphones. You're part of some kind of new social experiment, by the way. I just wanted to let you know that new thing. Welcome to the show. My name is Dean. Fun one, short one today, because we've got some big news that will affect a lot of people on social media. Not only that, it's my friend's birthday. Yeah. Welcome back to the show. Emily from Muse. Good morning, my dear. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning.
That's
What's
cool.
cooking?
How are you?
I'm excited. It's a big week.
Yeah, huge week for you. I want to get to a couple of things before I'm slowly fucking up everything on the screen here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can watch me completely screw
I
it up.
felt sandwich for a minute. That was hot.
Yeah, between you, me, and some graphics. That would be really cool. Like a three-way. Emily, of course, Muse Massage Spa, MuseMassageSpa.com. She's the host of the Muse on the Mic podcast, and we had some big news that kind of happened. We wanted to break it down in a fun little podcast, which won't take long, but it's very impactful for your business, and your business is celebrating 15 years as of tomorrow. Muse Massage Spa, ladies and gentlemen. How you feeling? 15 years. Are you the longest running advocacy group, sex positive? No, but you're easily the best massage parlor in the city, right? Talk about it. 15 years. How do you feel?
15 years. It's
Yeah.
surreal. I feel old. I feel excited.
Yeah.
There's like such a buzz and an energy to the week. The girls are pumped. Everyone's getting their outfits together. My emails are blowing up and DMs with appointments and client confusion, and everybody needs to be everywhere, and decorations and just chaos and beauty and mayhem all at the same time. We're yelling at our construction crew to clean up some shit because we're renovating at the same time to make sure it's all set for the. It's just a shit show.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
You
one.
think you'd get here though, like 15
Yeah.
years ago starting? You did. I knew you had confidence in yourself, but I mean, 15 years to be in business. I did some legwork. The average lifespan of any business is 2.3 years. It's like a little less than an NFL player's lifespan, 2.3 years.
It's true.
So yeah, you're 7 times the average now. How do you
Mhm.
feel? Pretty good. I mean, you've done a great
Pretty
job.
badass.
But is it because you're great business people or you're good human beings and you advocate for people in the industry?
Both. Humbly. Both. Yeah. I think it's important. I think the stigma and the assumption is that people in our industry aren't good people.
Mm.
And I think other than the cash cow aspect, it doesn't get much business credence. And we kind of shove that up people's, opinion.
Well, but because it's funny because you do the right things for the people that, your clients, right? If you know anybody in that industry, I think it's like any industry. It's like media, right? It's incestuous and weird, and it, at some points can be a cash business, and the kind of people that love and to thrive and operate in cash businesses aren't necessarily they're corner cutters, right? You don't cut corners, and I think that's kind of the fascinating part about you and your brand is you're actually interested in the human beings, but you're also interested in the education of yourselves along the way as human beings and advocates for the people that you work with at Muse, and not just at Muse, but people in the sex trade industry, right?
Yeah.
And it is work. It is legitimate work for a lot of people around the world. Everybody's catching on to the idea that the therapeutics involved in this, regulating the industry, giving a safe place to be able to work is not uncommon in any unregulated space, right? And so, for you to be doing this for 15 years with your head and your eyes on the prize and your head up as business people, and as advocates, I guess the question I would have for you is, what do you think sustains you the most as a business? Is it the idea that you're just really good operators of a business, or is it the idea that your values have changed over time, going from young people hustling in the game to people who are really convicted enough to start Muse on the Mic, a podcast about advocacy, right? So,
Right.
like, what do you think that goes a longer way for you as a brand today?
I definitely think it does. I think the societal norms are shifting in some respects. The conservative side is definitely coming loud, but I still think they're the minority in general. I think we've definitely grown in our moral standing and our understanding of just furthering our empathy and being able to understand different perspectives. Like when I used to work in the industry, that was kind of my only perspective. Granted, I was also, I worked from when I was 19 till I was about 27. So that was my 20 something mindset as well. And so immediately, late 20s, flipped into ownership, totally still didn't understand a whole bunch of, the people aspect of it, which to me at the time seemed ironic because I not only thought I knew everything, as do most 20-year-olds and 20 somethings, but I thought because of my experience being naked with the guys, that meant I knew everything about the guys.
Mm,
Turns out I had no fucking clue at all. And hindsight is being on this side of things, you see more of the humanity and you're able to find more reasons to be a vocal activist, or why the women that I employ motivate me every morning, or why certain things don't matter so much because the humans matter more. And I think it's easy to look at the money. I think it's easy to take that kind of approach. That is the standard out there. And the whole reason why Riley and I wanted to open Muse was to shatter that standard for women, by women, with the appreciation and honoring of men. And I think that contrasts to so many of the stigmatized assumptions and functions of this industry. It's been an incredible journey. Like the
mm.
15 years, I never would have expected these aspects of it. Did I think Muse would last to 15 and doors open? Yes. Were there some scary times that I had some second thoughts or wonder? Almost. But in hindsight, I wouldn't trade what I've learned about people for absolutely anything. And I think that's what sets us apart from the rest is the personal touch, the feminine touch. And with that comes the empathy and understanding. And I think that's what gives everyone the comfort when they come to Muse.
Yeah, because you don't just have empathy for the people that you work with, right? You don't have empathy for just sex workers. You have
Mhm.
empathy for people that utilize the services that you use. But it goes beyond that. And for anybody that knows you or talks to you, and I'm grateful enough that I get a chance to just kind of shoot the shit with you any chance I get. The inclusiveness in what certain political parties and lobby groups call an immoral industry or an amoral industry, the inclusiveness, the support. Talk about that a little bit because that's the stigma, right? The stigma is
Right.
introduced to people like, sexual health is an incredibly important thing. And you're not just an owner of a spa, you're also a sexologist. You conduct seminars for people, you teach
Yep.
them about the inclusiveness of sex, how much fun sex can be, the adventures you can go on, what you can
Mhm.
learn. And it is a judgment-free zone. And we had you on the podcast here a while ago, and I'm like, what kinks are the weird ones where you're like, okay, you're fucked up, and you're like, no, don't you dare, right? So you've educated me in the short period of time that we've actually had you on the show. But is that the purpose of the podcast? And is that podcast Muse on the Mic, by the way, was that a function of you saying, hey, there has to be more to this, we need to give back? Is that what it is? Because if like the last one where you were talking about pleasure toys, and
Mhm.
it's done in an acute way, in a clinical way, in an educational way, but it's done with zero fucking judgment for people. And that's the big play, right? Is people feel judged sharing what they naturally feel. And you sure you'll have a buddy at a party that'll go, hey, is everybody into this? And you go, fuck, dude, are you serious?
I love that guy.
But talk a little bit about that. Talk about the inclusiveness and the importance of that in your education of people of your industry.
I think there's so much irony baked into that because if you look at the political standpoint and a lot of the naysayers, he who casts the first stone, right? It's
Mm,
often filled with hypocrisy. And I mean, on both sides of politics, politicians will politic, right? And
yeah.
so are they some of the biggest purveyors of sex industry trade? Of course they are. Do all of them do it legally? No. Do some of them set laws to make it illegal and do it anyway? Absolutely. Same with the drugs, the rock and roll, and fucking each other that they do, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But I think where the morality standpoint comes from, as well as the education, always ties back to the stigma. Because if I feel like in general, the world would be a much better place with a lot of isms that exist, and isms of any kind, be it racism, sexism, or any kind of stigmas, they're not naturally born. They are something that you are taught by your environment, the people that influence you, the people that raise you,
Mm.
etc. And it doesn't happen naturally to hate people that use their bodies for work. We're not mad at laborers. We're not mad at farmers or other people, building trades and so on and so forth that literally do physical labor.
Yeah,
It is
we
when
don't
the politics
chastise
and the religion
we
come
don't
in.
We don't chastise people who submit to medical experiments for extra money. They're using their bodies in the same fucking way. Like,
Some of which are sexual experiments.
yeah.
So, like, who was the guy that got to test Viagra? I mean, give me a break, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it benefits the men. No offense to y'all, but
Yeah.
you still have more power, right?
Yeah.
So we worship the blue pill, and we chastise the chicks that apparently need all that bonerage. It's just bizarre. But what furthers me is when I get opportunities to expand my own career, and that might sound a little self-serving, but the opportunity or the analogy that's behind a sex worker who becomes a business owner who then can move on to things like advocacy, like political fights for legality and decriminalization, to teaching workshops and seminars, to speaking on educational panels. I never would have fathomed that stuff, even though
Mhm.
I come from a corporate and educational background. I was raised by a Catholic school principal. I have multiple degrees. I've worked my ass off when it comes to the bookworm stuff.
Mhm.
But more often than not, the stigma is that sex workers are idiots and we're just dumb and we have no other options. And it's this survival choice, which it is for many, but not for all of us. There is such thing as consensual sex work because of financial goals or to have those opportunities. And it's an absolute privilege to be in that position.
Mm.
But you have to then always consider those in other positions. And through the podcast, we've been able to leap more into activism. It wasn't part of the initial expectation. It was definitely part of, I wonder if this will come from it. I mean, it also depends how many people listen to it, right?
Yeah.
But we're catching the right ears and we're connecting with the right people, and we've already been brought into certain circles and conversations where we are able to further global activism, which to me is top tier because we're already involved locally. We get as involved federally as we can. But
Mhm.
out there in the planet is a lot of different options and a lot of variations, and that affects sex workers' safety every day. And that
Mm.
to me is the priority of all of it. And you can't have sex worker safety and promise the safety of clients. They absolutely have to go hand in hand. And that's what part of the reason why I don't judge the clients either.
Yeah.
I've been in their shoes before.
You have? You've been in a loveless marriage with a man where you've had to go get rubbed out by a female?
I've never been married, but I've been in a very long-term live together sexless relationship. That was not
Seriously?
my choice. Absolutely.
While you were working? The dude wasn't
Mhm.
like, "Okay, let's go tonight. You're a professional at this. I'm gonna just live in it."
No, I went 6 years in my 20s without any intimacy at home. Mhm.
Well, that's just not right.
Well, it's why I can have the conversations with the
Yes.
customers that I can. And
Yes.
it's one of the differences between Riley and I, because I've not only had that experience, but I connect with the clients in a very different way. And it's because of that that I'm able to really understand, and kind of dive deeper instead of just yeah, I'll book your appointment, no problem, 4 o'clock confirmed. I want to dive in. I want to know why you're coming here. I want to know what you like about it. I want to know how that affects your life afterwards. I want to know how it changes you as a man or how it makes you more effective in your goals every day. There is
Mhm.
such a distinct connection between sexual health and mental health and physical health. And part of my beef with the anti sex side of advocacy, the people that are against us, is the complete denialism that comes into removing that entire wedge of humanity.
Mm.
Part of our journey as people is supposed to be the quest for physical health, for mental health, to educate our minds, strengthen and grow and enrich in our lives. But listen, if we're going to go religious, God created the clit, God created the penis, God created all this stuff. There's a reason why we're one of the few species that experience pleasure.
They go
It
together
is
so well. They're like puzzle pieces. They just root right in there.
it's flawless, right? The design is flawless. You just enjoy being such a boy.
Yeah.
But
It's
like
the best.
it's an absolute truth, right? There's only
Yeah.
so many species that do it other than procreation, and we are blessed to be one of them. And so if that is shunned, there's a reason why things like the Kama Sutra exists, or why tantric sex is interesting, because there is a tie-in of spirituality. There is a tie-in of vibrational frequency and enlightenment. And you can go into all kinds of realms, no different than yoga or art or anything else will take you. And to deny that piece of your own humanity and the humanity of others through law and legislation and criminalization is so destructive.
Mm.
And it takes away everything from the importance of young people being educated properly with sexual health and how their body works to create the autonomy that they'll need to make those kinds of decisions as adults so that they don't end up in a sexless relationship like mine. So they don't end up a customer at Muse. As much as I want all the customers, all the boys, come on in, jingle your balls. This would be great.
And the girls, and the
But
girls, and the girls.
and the girls and the couples, let's be
Yes.
real.
Yeah.
But in essence, what I prefer is for people to have the open communication and the safe spaces to go on those quests. So you don't have to sneak into a parlor. So you don't have to be the guy who's like this. I love it when you can be comfortable and confident and say, you know what, I'm here to explore prostate massage. Or I heard your podcast and me and my wife decided we wanted to come in and have a session.
Mhm.
That should be how easy the exchange is and how little judgment should like evolve around it.
Yeah, the judgment piece is fascinating to me, and I want to talk about that real quick. Empathy, the word empathy, use that a
Mm.
little earlier on, and the lack of empathy for any religious groups, lobby groups who just are up their own ass about their own genitals, right? People that are so afraid of their dicks and vaginas that they're like, nobody else is allowed to talk about it, and that's disgusting. And
Yeah.
that place down the street that sells therapeutic massage to men and women who truly need it and adventurous couples, they can't do it because if I'm not doing it, nobody else is fucking doing it. Right? That's legitimately the pushback that you get. But it's the empathy piece and the lack of backstory. So you could have someone like you, sexless marriage, want to go in and have an experience so you could feel fulfilled because it's a very healthy, integrated part of a
Mhm.
wellness program for anybody is great sexual health, the freedom to
Yes.
not be judged. But there are lobby groups and organizations and political organizations that want to paint your industry with this wide brush of immorality, not
Mhm.
knowing the clientele that come in are people who are widowed, people
Mhm.
who are handicapped, people
Yep.
who just want to have a good time, people who are in
Yep.
sexless relationships,
Mhm.
terrible relationships. The therapeutics talks to the empathy that they are
Yep.
unwilling to look at. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It goes so deep into the political side of it that it's funny. I have conversations sometimes with my staff or our managers and stuff, and
Mhm.
sometimes they'll ask me questions or bring up topics, and I'm like, "You realize we're talking politics right now?" And their first reaction is, "Oh, no, I don't know anything about politics." I'm like, "Actually, you're living, breathing politicking right now because look at you go." Because all of those things actually make a difference.
Yeah.
And it always bothers me, the hypocrisy, because it is the more you shun something, the more intriguing it becomes, but then the more perverted it can become. This is why you end up with very extreme religious sects and cults and stuff ending up with the worst perversions, with the worst sex crimes happening, because you've made it so taboo and so this boogeyman
People
that
wanna
now it
look behind
becomes
that
this
door, and
lust.
they're all repressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's an obsession thing,
Mhm.
and then you just don't know how to function around children anymore, or you end up the community clown and you're the perv. Like it ends, that to me is a perv. That's different.
Mm.
For someone to explore their body or to learn kind of the range of their own pleasure is no different than testing yourself through a Tough Mudder competition. Like, let's see what I can do. What is my limit? What is my push? Ask anyone involved in anything 50 Shades of Grey, and they will tell you that there's no such thing as limits. It's just about safe training.
And if after your sexual experience you look like you finished a Tough Mudder, you had a great fucking time.
You did it absolutely fucking right. Hey, it should. Sex is messy. Sex is
Yeah.
grimy and funny and grueling and all the things it should be. If you can't
Mhm.
crack up laughing with your intimate partner 1 minute and then need a shower from the ugh of what you just did afterwards, You're just not doing it right. It's so important. But at the same time, if the simplest things like, bikini pics or a rainbow flag make you freak out and question everybody's integrity or moral standing, you really need to take a reflection in the mirror,
Or
because
question your own. That's what they do.
nothing
They question their
nothing
own
should make you
sexuality.
waver that much, right?
No.
Like,
Oh, I know, dude. It's the same reason why religious people don't read anything other than the Bible or religious educational books, right? It's like
right.
they don't want anybody straying. And so I can because I grew up in the evangelical church. I go to a conference once. I'm 12 years old, and it's like the devil gets into your wiener when you masturbate. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here? This is absolutely insane. I just finished my sixth grade sex ed class, and they're talking about how great masturbation is, and then I go to church, and they're like, "Don't do it. You'll get a demon in your wiener. You'll get wiener demons." And I'm like, "This is fucking crazy. You people are nuts." But those are the same people, and I said it earlier. They can talk about policy being, unethical. They can talk about decriminalizing the industry and how it's going to be the death of society. I'll tell
Right.
you what. The only reason they're saying that, and they don't believe any of those things, that's
No,
just
they
the excuse
don't.
they hide behind. You know what they're saying? Is they're saying, I am so ashamed of my wiener and my
Right.
vagina. And I do
Wiener
not like
Wiener
looking.
Demons need to be a condom brand. You need to patent that right now, because that is genius. I
That's a
just
fucking
love
true
it.
story. Dr. James Dobson, Focus on the Family. He's like, the devil gets in
Wiener
your
Demons.
penis. And I'm like, wait a second, that's a really small hole. How's the devil going to fit in my pee hole? It's so weird. I was like literally thinking about it when I was a kid. But that's the hypocrisy. And what you're saying, I'm referring to this earlier. At
Yeah.
Muse, some of the people you see in the news stumping against legalization of sex work are clients.
Our clients have been long-term clients. Our clients, not just known to Muse, but across the industry, that will sit in the same lobbyist meetings on the other side of the table and not even look you in the eye. It is gross, to say
You
the
must
least.
fuck.
I'm
Do
just
you?
so glad I'm not in that world all the time, because I would
Oh,
vomit on my own shoes.
you must see some people that like are in the news talking about criminalizing sex work, and they show up to your thing with a little, a hat on that says John Deere and like a hoodie.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know you. It must kill you not to walk up to that person and go, get the fuck out. Like, but it's
There
also
was
really
there was
cool to take their
one
money,
who
right?
did the John Deere hat. He's not in politics anymore, but he was, so I can say this. He was obsessed with always wearing those stupid coats you get at Bass Pro that look like they're from that Duck Hunter show, the camo shit. And I was like, you're not fooling anybody. You're making yourself look like a beacon. Just get a regular ass jacket and walk in the door like a
Yeah.
man. Like, what are you
Yeah, yeah,
doing?
yeah. Just
And
own
it
it.
was
You're
it's
coming
just
in.
so trying to, yeah, go against the grain of his expensive fancy suits most of the time. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, this is a miss. This is a big miss.
Federal or provincial?
Provincial. Mhm.
We'll have to take this
Someone
one.
you would never expect to wear that kind of jacket.
Oh, I completely. I have. Yeah. Listen, you and I are going to swap stories when we get off here. We're not in the business of destroying your business, but I am definitely in the
Hilarious.
business of
Mm.
swapping and
There's
spilling a
so
little tea.
many. There's so
Yeah.
many. It's tough to watch CP24 on any given day and not recognize at least a face. In the middle of dinner, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that's what your job was, because they show the little title underneath or something. I call up Riley. Guess who's on the fucking news?
Are you serious? How many times does that happen a week where you're sitting there watching TV and some newsmaker, some policymaker who like stumps for a political party and the ethics of religion and the conservatism and all the other shit? How many times does that happen a week where you're like, hey Riley, client X is on television right now talking about how sex is bad and they were at the shop last night having a duo.
Like once a week, at least once a week. You know what? Sometimes it's even more expansive, because let's be serious,
Yeah.
politicians from other countries travel here too, right? So if you're in the know, which I like to stay, I recognize the face. Some people just email straight from their business account, and I'm like, oh, okay, Governor, let's do it. What's happening? It's crazy. But
Senators,
I
you
mean,
get
the same
senators,
goes with
governors, congressmen.
CEOs.
You get it all. You get
Pardon?
senators, governors, congressmen, MPs. MLAs, you get it all.
Mm.
You know why? Because you don't talk about it. So hearing you talk about it, like if any one of those people downloads this podcast, which I'm sure lots do because we're not overly kind to them,
No.
because of these shitty stances that they take against humanity. Uh,
Right.
they're probably going to put a brick in their shorts today. Thank you for telling me all that. I really
I
appreciate
mean, none of it is identifiable. It's fine. There's a lot
it.
of
Yeah, it's
governors
good.
in the world. And a
Um,
lot of people wear those stupid jackets. He'll be fine.
Not a lot of people. Now I'm intrigued. We'll talk about it later. I want to talk about Elon Musk opening up Twitter
Mm.
to your world. It happened today. I'm going to bring up an article and I want to read it to you. Can you see this? Can you
A
see
little bit.
this?
A little
Okay.
bit.
All right. All
Mhm.
right. Let me
Let's
get
do
back
it.
to it. Let's talk about it. Elon Musk's X officially allowing pornographic content on his platform. But they're going to block adult and violent posts from being seen by users. So we're allowing all kinds of content. But if you're under 18, you're not allowed to watch it. Company announced Monday. You sent me a note. You were charged up about this. So I want your
Mhm.
opinion on it, but also want some details. Policies that are going to formalize it. But apparently, they come as a regulator is pressuring growth platforms from around the world to prevent children from accessing inappropriate social media content. So he's doubling down. However, porn has been on X for a long, long time. But what are the ins and the outs of this that you find interesting, and some question marks as you kind of take us through what exactly you expect this to be? Because I find this to be fascinating. I really, really do.
I mean, I feel like there's multiple angles and levels to it, right? There
Yeah.
is the absolute truth that porn has been on Twitter since the beginning of probably Twitter.
Yeah,
The
when I found
same
out
can be
it was
said
going to
for
be
every
regulated,
platform.
and they're like, "Hey, we're going to allow porn," I was like, "Aren't you doing that
This
now?"
right,
And they're like,
right,
"No." Right? Yeah, yeah,
right. It's like Blockbuster saying we sell movies, and you're like, ah, who knew? Like, wow, this is new information. But that is absolutely true. It's been on there. I can't open my business Twitter in public because the videos autoplay. I'm clumsy with my volume. I will scare old ladies in the grocery store if I so much as check a tweet because it's literally all over my feed.
Mhm.
Whether it's porn, whether it's sex workers, that's my feed. All of our clients retweet all of the porn. So I see a shit ton of porn in a day.
Yeah,
Do I think that's not appropriate for children? Of course. There are no other platforms you open up and it's like a constant slew.
yeah.
I mean, even Pornhub, you have to go page by page. Like it's not a feed that just keeps going. It
Mhm.
feeds you all day. And there's some commendable stuff in here. There's some roll my eyes at some of its stuff in
What do
here.
you commend? Give me the commendable stuff first. What do you like?
Um, I think the acknowledgement of our existence is commendable because
Mhm.
it automatically ties in sex work. Porn stars are sex workers, as they are also actors and performers. It's a
Yeah,
crossover, mashup or fusion. But I think it's noble to say we want to be the platform that houses it so that we can be the ones to control it. But in that comes half of the issues of the legalities of sex work. It's why we fight things like criminalization or legality. Sorry.
no problem. Yeah, have that drink.
Right?
That better be prosecco. It's prosecco o'clock where I am.
You got me going.
Gotta go.
I think it's important because too much monitoring is then the overbearingness of sex workers and something that should be autonomy and free choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you catch your breath there again, and I
Right?
totally agree with you. I think, allowing it, and it was interesting, obviously, because we all know that Twitter is chock-a-block with pornography now. Porn bots, pussy in bio, boobs in bio, ass in bio, dick in bio. I mean, it's all, and it's just all bot trolling bullshit, right? But you
Right.
know, that's part of this. I think a lot of people are wondering if that's just going to increase or if they're going to put sex content on a heater, an algorithmic heater. I don't know the answer to that. You might. But I think what it says morally is, hey, Elon Musk, obviously, with 11 children and 7 different wives, is not averse to a healthy sex life, right? Like he's one of those guys that lives his lifestyle out there openly, doesn't care. He's in Schneiser sex clubs in Germany. He's in, bondage
Yes,
sex
he is.
clubs in LA. I mean, this is his lifestyle, so this will reflect what he thinks is moral, or
Right.
according to him. But to that point, the destigmatization and what it says about, from the brand that, hey, we see you, right? We know that what you do is legitimate work. I really like that. I
Right.
really like that. And it's not about, sorry, you're on like an isolated shot there, and I just realized I was just staring at you the whole time. Like,
It's okay.
but what it does is it kind of ushers in the question: is this a decision for the health of Twitter, or do you think that this is an altruistic move on his behalf, or does the ends justify the means and you just don't give a shit? Because now sex work can be looked at as content, and you can be looked at as any other industry that pumps content into that public square.
If he was left wing, I would love it, because that would be the direction it would be going. I think he just wants to monetize it. I think that's the only angle. Because there's a large community of sex workers across the globe, right? And many, many, many of us are on Twitter. But we don't, man, what's going on with my throat?
You got a frog in your throat? Is that what you're doing?
It's a something. There we go.
How many fucking sex work jokes we can make right now? And
Listen, I'm going to make
totally
all the dirty
it.
jokes I can if I can fit them in. I'm earning my penis for my next life. This is my mission.
Earning my penis in my next life.
It's gonna be huge. You'll see. It'll be great.
Oh, congratulations.
It'll be great.
I hope it's gargantuan.
I'd be in prison. It's terrible. This is why I wasn't given one. They were like, no, that's too much power for this one. No, she can't get that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure a really good vagina trumps a really good penis any day of the week.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to weld the power. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a whole other conversation.
And I'm just, and just a quick aside in that conversation, then we'll move back on to the destigmatization and what this means and what Elon's really trying to do with Twitter and sex work on Twitter. The vagina is it. Just say. There is nothing attractive about a penis.
Maybe we need to trade. Nah, you guys get to like fling it around like a windmill in circles, and stick it in holes.
No, we don't.
Jizz on people. It's so great.
Very sensitive area of the body. If you can helicopter, you might cause some testicular torsion. No one really helicopters. That's like a thing, right? You never know what you're going to do to your vagina.
What are you doing when you helicopter?
You do a little shake.
I love you. You're hilarious.
You just do a little shake. You get it going around.
Oh, now I want to have one. I feel left out.
Fun for a day, maybe, but like, listen, you put two naked people side by side. You put a female next to a male. Just average bodies, right? And you look at the female and you look at the male. I don't care who you are. Everybody is going, okay, the male, let's get him right out of the shot and let's just focus on what we have going on here. The male
camera pan.
Like hair, skin tags, fat,
oh God.
We get away from it. We're awful.
Hilarious.
People.
You're hilarious.
You think he's just trying to monetize this, but you don't give a shit because this is a hat tip to people in your industry and allows you to function properly on that platform, right?
Because I think just because he wants to monetize it doesn't mean it's just a free for all. Yeah. Which it shouldn't be. I mean, again, it's a public space, right?
Yeah.
But I think the greed with him always trumps everything else. Irony of the words.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, he's still going to have situations where sex workers are deplatformed. That's a constant. He's going to have regulatory people come after him for this. The people aren't just, the religious right isn't just going to sit and be like, oh, okay, maybe we should leave Twitter now, while they've invested so many millions of dollars in their current culture war, right? So they're not going to abandon ship for the sake of their other missions, because they still want no abortion, no sex workers, no anything anywhere, right? But I think at the same time, it's not like he's going to go back retroactively and bring back all the people then suspended off the platform.
Well, this is you, right? Like the Muse account, which was a very healthy Twitter account, got suspended a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Where pornography and sex work was not allowed on the platform. And so you got pumped. You managed to figure out a way around it with Emily Muse, Riley Muse, Muse on the Mic being its own Twitter handle podcast. You now deliver really great content in there. And obviously, we've had this conversation privately. Sometimes we get a little risque, and that's where people get in trouble. What this algorithm is now saying, what this platform is now saying is, hey, all good. So where's your account? Where's your Muse account?
Where's my
Can you get that
account is a
back?
big question.
Yeah.
Right after I emailed you, I emailed Twitter
Yeah.
with my newest appeal with
Yeah.
the link to their own tweet from
Mhm.
their ex safety account. And we will see what happens. I also told a bunch of my staff who've recently lost their accounts to do the same. And we'll have to see. I don't know what that means in terms of past accounts, and yet there is a bit of this that seems a little lip service to me, because there already was the function to put a sensitive material warning on your photos or images or videos that you post.
Mhm.
There was already rules that were in place for some adult content, and that was part of my aggravation when me and other workers and such have been deplatformed off of X, is because it was already the place with all of the porn. Like, you can't get away with that on other platforms. You can't upload porn to YouTube and think it'll last more than 3 minutes. Twitter was the safe haven. It was the platform where sex workers could not only communicate freely, but it gives them screening tools. It gives them conversation and advertising material. It gives them a reference network when they need to see if a client or a John is safe or not, to
Mhm.
spread bad date information. Twitter is such a vital thing. It reminds me very much of the restrictions on news right now on Facebook for Canadians, because if we have a national, hurricane or emergency or some crises, especially if it's national disaster, the quickest information spreads through social media. And so
Mhm.
if CP24 or BBC or whoever can't put that out, that limits us from being able to get to safety sooner. And the same kind of function applies with sex work Twitter. It is a woven network, it is a community of people that, for the most part, look out for each other. And so, great, now you're putting out an official post about it, but I've always been able to put the sensitive material flag on our graphics and images and stuff. There's always been restrictions on what can go in your profile description. Pussy in bio, link in bio, that bullshit should not be allowed. It never was supposed to be allowed. I think he lost the war with the sex bots, to be honest.
That was my next question, right? He sees opportunity and money because that's what the industry is. But did he just get overwhelmed with the pussy and bio stuff where he's like,
I really
fuck
think
it.
so. Because listen, if he could stop bots in general, there wouldn't be
Yeah,
any bots, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
definitely comes in waves. We all see it, right? There'll be a quiet time, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, whoa, what the hell's been going on Twitter lately, right?
yeah.
And if you can't stop Russia, if you can't stop all these other people who buy all these systems and these programs, who run all of these bots accounts, the almost call center setups that run all of this shit all day,
Mhm.
how are you ever going to compete with the nudes one? Because that's a 12 times bigger army. More people want to fuck and see titties than they want to care about who to vote for. Like, no, it is a giant
Uh,
beast that they're
yeah, that's
fighting.
in
And no
business.
matter
They
where
call
your
that
politics lies, you click the link in bio. Like,
all the time, depending on how you're feeling that night, depending on how much you had to drink, depending on your relationship at home, depending.
absolutely.
You're like,
You
pussy and
you
bio.
mean
Like,
it's coming to me?
yeah, dude. Anytime you check, and I get it all the time. So you put out a tweet, and because we have a high volume or high follower account, and we
Yeah.
feed the algorithms, and we do a ton of traffic on Twitter, it's one of our preferred methods. Even though it's just a fucking hellscape, I love
It's
it.
a hellscape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome because you get action, right? You know how to trigger action. But invariably, it doesn't matter what I post. Someone named Rossi has a pussy in bio. Is like, want to see more? And I'm like, I block them all, every single one.
How are
And
there
I
so
check.
many Rossies?
I don't know. You got Rossi following you too, right? It's
A
so
million
weird.
of them.
Like, hey, Rossi, relax. You got so many accounts. And I blocked them all. And then It never ends. They
It
figure
never
out new
ends.
accounts, new ways to do it, new ways to
No,
attach
because they
themselves
also
to
know when you
the
click on it. They know when you
Yeah.
click on it to click on the profile to block it. That counts as a click, regardless you click through. It
Does it?
sucks.
I didn't even know that. So the block
Uh-huh.
count is a
They
click?
get hits off of it. So every time you go and block one of them, you're gonna get 10 more. It's really annoying.
Oh,
But
so
I
you just
think he
gotta
lost that battle because why piss your money away at something that you can't stop?
yeah. That's fucking crazy. I think you're right. You actually might be right. He probably just looked at his Twitter feed and was like, "Open the
Bullshit.
floodgates. There's no need." Like, I
Well,
mean,
that compared with like the numbers and he saw what we're spending on this bullshit.
yeah, yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah, I want that money.
Free the
Yeah.
hookers. Let them all back.
So we need to shame X now into giving Muse their Twitter account back too. That's did you get any action back from them at all when you said, "Hey, listen, if you're going to allow people to post here, allow brands to live here, what about my brand that wasn't allowed to live here back then and it's allowed to live here now? Can't you just dig that fucker up?" Should be able to.
I mean, in theory, yes. I'm superstitious, so I'm not going to say anything. But I'm hopeful because literally, when you read what they posted, it eliminates any question. Like
Yeah,
every reason they could have given to us on why, which I will still just point out, we were never banned for posting anything overt. I've never posted a vagina. It doesn't represent my company. That's just not what we do. Yes, it's scandalous. Yes, it's very sexy and suggestive and all of that.
yeah,
But we never put like nipples and we never put vaginas. I think clients should have to pay to see that, to be honest. When it comes to in-person sex work, that's different. If you're a porn star, you pay to see it
yeah.
visually that way, right? It was when we updated our what do they call that, the header banner thing at the top of our profile. We were doing one of our famous fashion fetish promos and it was schoolgirl week, and it said fashion fetish with a little booty with a kilt, and like by booty I mean a sliver of cheek. And immediately as soon as I did that, I was suspended and I
Did
was
you do
like,
the cup part,
what
the part where it cups underneath? That the perfect
the
part of
little
it is
sweetheart. Yeah.
yeah, that yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the best part.
Yeah, yeah. Always. Yeah, they don't like that. It's like I'm telling you, and it's the people that complain about that stuff are people who
Mhm.
haven't gotten it in years and don't look at their genitals when they get in the shower because they're like, "This is terrible." Like that's
Right.
really why they do it. To your point, Elon Musk social media, just to recap, officially updated its policies to allow consensual adult content. Here are the short strokes. It
Mhm.
includes pornography and nudity to be posted on the platform. Key points about the change: X is permitting users to share adult nudity or sexual behavior, as long as it's consensually produced, properly labeled, and not prominently displayed. I don't even
See
know.
how he specifies adult content though, and
Yeah,
not specifically like pre-filmed, studio produced anything. Like it's not
yeah,
just movies; it's creators.
yeah, absolutely. That's fucking smart. The
Yeah,
policy applies to real as well as AI generated photographic or animated adult content. Ooh,
right. We get into some hentai and all the things. I'm like,
ooh,
wow,
ooh, time me
you
up.
got to give the incels something to do. They can draw their own titties now.
Or maybe that's part of it too. Is like we got a lot of 8chan dicks on this thing. We might as well feed them some weird porn.
Totally,
X,
totally a joke.
yeah, X
don't
believes
don't blow up my email.
sexual expression, whether visual or written, can be a legitimate form of artistic impression. That's him saying,
It's
"I want
true.
the money," but he's
And
right.
over the years, there's been different rules on what you can write.
Yeah,
There was a time where hashtags were a thing, and then sex work hashtags were all shadow banned. There was a time where you allowed to put your website for contact. There's a time where you weren't. There's a time you could put, if you're an independent girl, like just an indie escort, you need to put your contact info, your email, your phone number, however you communicate with your clients. And there was a time girls were getting banned for that. Like it changes so much. So I like that they did this formally. It
okay,
still
good.
is so much gray area. Keep going.
Wants to give adults autonomy over creating and consuming sexual content. Smart. However, content promoting exploitation, non-consent, objectification, or harms minors still prohibited. Yeah, no shit. They're obscene
Rightfully.
behaviors.
Yeah.
Under 18, this is interesting because these kids already know how to get around this shit. Urging accounts posting adult content regularly to just adjust settings to automatically add content warnings before their media can be viewed. That's on you.
Mhm.
That's you, the creator, you, the person putting it out, or you're going to say, hey, if you're under 18, you can't look at this. You can actually put that in your settings, which I think is really fucking smart. Hopefully, people
Yep.
do that. They take it upon themselves to protect people they don't want looking at their content. If they do fucking
Right.
mean it, I know you're responsible and you'll do that. This formalizes a relatively permissive stance towards porn that existed unofficially on Twitter before Musk's acquisition. The move contrasts with stricter policies on nudity and
Mhm.
sexual content on other platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube have gone backwards with that stuff.
Yeah,
Where
well, it depends who you ask. Have you heard about some of the uproar in the South lately about TikTok Live? They are now calling child pornography feeds. I'm like, what the fuck?
no,
Just because teenagers like to dance, stop thinking with your dick when
oh,
all
that's
you
the
do is
religious
criminalize using your
again.
dick.
Again, that's the religious right. And we've talked about this 100 times. Listen, they don't look at kids dancing like they're kids dancing. The religious right, specifically men, look at kids dancing like they're tempting them to have sex with them.
Oh, it's so cringe.
Yeah. So
Stop
that
sexualizing
should be
children.
that should be legitimately the number one indicator that you follow a cult. If the guy in your cult sends a letter to TikTok going, "Hey, these kids are tempting me. You got to stop it. It's child pornography at this point." You're like, "Hey, dude, really? Do you know what
That's
you
a
just
that's a
said?"
you problem.
You
Yeah.
know what you just said? Yeah. No, it's
Uh,
fascinating. I think it's fucking. I think it's really good. In summary, Elon Musk has allowed to consensual, pornographic, and sexually explicit content on the X platform with some restrictions, labeling requirements, major shift in policies from all the other social media companies. It's really
it's
cool.
if it's genuine and it's well supported, I think it's awesome.
And it's nuanced, so it really works for you and protects the people
Mhm.
that need to be
What
protected.
they really need to do is add some staff to their support team so that when there is a question or a problem, you
Get
can
into the
ask a
poop
goddamn
emoji.
human being, right? Haven't
Oh
we
my god,
learned?
we
Nobody
have
works Twitter.
like you. I know, dude. Nobody does. Like the
It's
only
just him
time
with a
we've
bunch of
ever been able
buttons.
the only time we've ever been able to get a hold of anybody is for sales.
Yeah,
So a
yeah.
salesperson will get back to you, but anybody in QC, human resources, complaints, that kind of
Mm-mm,
stuff, they don't
mm-mm.
even have those departments anymore. They're like,
Not
hey,
even their
fuck.
legal department.
No, they send poop emojis from their legal
Yeah,
department.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
when you send them a legal
It's
notice,
great.
we've
It's
seen it.
great.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun, interesting. Thanks for breaking that down for us, and thanks for
Hey,
walking me through it. I really
anytime,
appreciate it.
anytime. I
Yeah,
love when interesting shit is breaking news. It's a nice relief from the norm. Let's
yeah,
talk more
yeah.
about porn.
Well, that was our excuse to talk about it today, and not just
Hey,
talk to you about
love it.
this, and you totally understand it as an educated woman, as an entrepreneur. But it's Muse's 15th anniversary, and I would encourage everybody to go to MuseMassageSpa.com for more details on what that means for you. I would encourage everybody to download their podcast, Muse on the Mic, anywhere you get your fine podcast.
Yes.
The Patreon version, go and subscribe to that. It's a couple of bucks. You get the uncensored version. That's where you can really connect with the advocacy portions of it. And you can learn about the industry as well from two people who have really mastered it. You got your 10,000 hours. So I'm going to call you a master in the industry. And just incredible communicators. You educate
Thank
people.
you.
Passionate. The empathy is incredible. And I love doing this with you, Em. So let's do this
I
again.
love it too. Anytime.
Tomorrow is the actual 15th anniversary. Where can people go for all the details and how they can come and sally with you guys?
All the info is available on our website or find us on any social media platform. It is free door fees all day tomorrow, which means there's no cover charge, no house portion, no room charge. It's just the money goes straight to the chick. It is Customer Appreciation Day. We've got a gorgeous red carpet. We've got all kinds of decor and some refreshments and all kinds of bougie shit happening. There's raffles, there's prizes. We're just gonna have all the fun. There's balloons fucking all over the spa. Like it's just gonna be
Good.
mayhem. It's
Good.
gonna be great. The girls will all be there, so come mix and mingle and meet the ladies. It's the one time where everyone's kind of in a little
Good drink.
pool of just hormones and pheromones and everything's brewing. It gets a little saucy.
All right. I'm ashamed that I'm going to be on a flight home for that. I
You
would love
suck.
to join you. I know. I'd love to come, but everybody else can go. Thanks for doing this, Em. Where can people
Anytime,
get a
babe.
hold of you on Twitter? Where's the best way to get a hold of you?
Ooh, Miss underscore Emily underscore Muse. You find Riley underscore Muse as well. With any luck, we'll have Muse Massage Spa account back soon.
All right, good. I hope you get
Pray
it.
for us.
I will. I always do. Have a great day, sister. I'll talk to you
Bye,
soon.
babe. See ya.
All right, there you go. Emily from Muse Massage Spa, 15th anniversary. One of our partners, one of our podcast partners as well. What a great rip through just some educational shit, right? Like it's you don't have to be scared to talk about penises and vaginas, people. You don't have to be scared to talk about that industry. You can advocate for the human beings in that industry. And listen, Elon's 2 for 2 with me in the past 2 months. Love the new Tesla. Love it, which is fucking wild. Uh, and really like this. Really like what he's doing for people in that industry, for people like my friend Emma, who does her best to be empathetic and to provide women a place to work and men a place to go. So there you go. Thanks everybody for paying attention to the show. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. Don't forget, everything we do is at Crier Media. Go to crier.co for more details. You can also download and sub for this podcast anywhere you get your fine podcasts: Google, Apple, Spotify, etc. And of course, the Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. You can get Muse Massage Spa on YouTube as well. That's the censored version. Yes, that's right. But you can go anywhere to get your fine podcasts. And of course, brought to you by our friends at Cantork for making this possible. My friend Colin owns Canada's #1 torque wrench manufacturing plant. They fabricate, they calibrate, they maintain, they give you the very best in sales, service, rentals, and they'll make your industrial torque tools. For problems that you cannot find a bolting solution for, they will. They do it for heavy industry everywhere around the world. They proudly manufacture here in the province of Alberta, specifically in Edmonton. And they're all over the place. They're in the forestry industry, railroad industry. They're in the NASCAR series. They are in the nuclear industry. And dude just got back from Dubai in China. I think he's heading over to, at the end of the month, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's heading over to Egypt. That's how in demand these torque wrenches are. So if you're in the industry of looking for bolting solutions, you can't find one, make sure you go to cantork.com, check out all their product services and their brand new podcast called Talking Torque. It's really, really good. Also brought to you by our friends at Fact Check. If you want to kill disinformation, go to factcheck.io and source information that you can trust. You want a complete report over everything you've just read, whether it's video, picture, spoken word, could be text, doesn't matter. If it's a URL, you can see it, feel it, hear it, touch it, hear it. They will be able to tell you where it came from and if you can trust it or not. These are scientists. These are journalists. These are people with a vested interest in killing disinformation on not just any platform, but every platform, and putting that agency in your hands so you can decide what is true and what isn't, what you want to read and what you don't. Go to factcheck.io to sign up for their beta test. They're starting beta, I believe, this month or early next month. factcheck.io. Go to factcheck.io for more details. Sign up for their beta test. Become a Fact Check verified fact checker. factcheck.io. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget, everything we do is at crier.co. Thanks for spending some time with us. Thanks to Emily for stopping by as well. Tip your waiter or waitress. That'll be me. Bye.